Hi, this is Cherie Goff, and I just wanted to come to you today. I was asking the Lord last night, what now, what now? And I felt like He woke me up with the following. And I'm going to read a lot of it because when I get it, it's really on me. But when I wait even a couple hours, it starts lifting off me. So I just want to read it. And I was thinking about men in the Bible that accomplished much for God. And this is what I wrote. The great ones, the ones who truly see God, they never concede, they never give up, they always intercede. They intercede for a miracle from God, no matter how bleak it is, no matter if they find themselves standing in front of God theirself to get Him to stop the plague. They dare to put their righteous self in harm's way, even in God's way, on behalf of the church. The only time they will sacrifice willingly is when it involves their life, when it involves their promise, their position, their fame. Then they will sacrifice, knowing that death with God is better than others going to hell. It's better to die than to lose those around us. When the people opposed Moses and Aaron, they came to him and they said, "Who made you ruler over us?" And Moses understood that they were challenging God more than they were challenging Moses, because Moses didn't call himself in that position. But it's interesting, Moses' response, he says, "Go get a censer and you bring it, and we're going to stand before God and He's going to show who He's chosen." Well, I went and looked up this censer. And it was interesting in Leviticus 16, 11 through 13. It tells about this censer. And the purpose of the censer was you would take your sacrifice to the temple, and then you would take the coals from that sacrifice, and you would take it before the mercy seat of God, which is on the Ark of the Testimony. And I spoke in another video about the Ark of the Testimony, how that's the testimony of our faith in God. And so we see this censer is an act of repentance, and it's also an act of mercy because they take it before the mercy seat, and it's also a testimony to God's goodness. And so that was what Moses told the people to bring to see who had been chosen. Moses was not trying to call wrath down on their heads. Moses was trying to bring them to a place of humility and reverence of God and honor in God. And so he calls them to do this. And they were still rejecting what God had called. And so a plague began to break out amongst them that was sent by God. And so Moses' response was, he told Aaron, he said, "Get a coal and get the censer and run between the plague and the people." In other words, put your life in harm's way to stop God from wrath and to see mercy come on the people. And so Aaron did that, and the plague stopped where he ran in between them. This is the mercy of God. We see that some still pushed against and railed against Moses. And so God, he caused the ones who were guilty to be swallowed up by the earth. And then he said, take their censers and smash them down and put them on the altar as a remembrance that you don't push against the mercy of God. You humble yourself with that. And so we see how that Moses, in this situation, he put himself between God and what the people deserved and called for mercy over and over again, even though the people were calling for his head. And so this is the nature and the character of God. This is Christ, sent from God, the Son of God, who, with all contradiction, he went to the cross, the one who was sinless, to bear the sins of those who were full of sins. I thought about Abraham, who was told to take his only son. And Abraham said, I'll take him and I'll sacrifice him. I'll sacrifice this promise, knowing that you will raise it up if need be. Abraham had faith. He knew the nature and character of God, that the nature and character of God was to bring resurrection life to those who are willing to sacrifice. So do you know the God you serve, and will you serve unto death? Have you only heard of him, but never fellowshipped with the suffering of Christ? Job in 42, 5 through 6, he says, whereas before I had heard about God, now I have seen him. And so he came to a different place of understanding who God was. It's time to die so that others may live. We are full of entertainment. We're full of fine food. We're full of ourself while the world around us is dying. Where's our sacrifice? We've called ourselves Christians, but where's our sacrifice? Unless we take up the cross and follow him, we are not one of his. Perhaps this crucible is for us. The revival we've all hoped for is for our own flesh to come to life. That we, the church, would not land in hell itself because we did nothing with the talent that God has given to us. What of the lost? As we sit on our cushioned pews that we've replaced with individual chairs, let's return to the altars of sacrifice and not get up till our hearts burn with passion for the unsaved, asking the Lord, where is my cross? Where is my cross? I hope this encourages you. We're in a season to step into greater understanding of God, greater intimacy with God, greater knowledge of his heart, and greater power to see the lost saved. That it's not about us. It's not about us. If we are looking at what's happening and saying it's the punishment of God, and we stand with this idea rather than to crucify ourselves, then we contradict God's character. If God would not hold back his own son, why should we hold back our life to lay it down for those who contradict themselves? My prayer is that you would find the heart of God, that you would find love for the sinner, that you would find love for the backslider, that you'd find love for those who contradict you and themselves, and that you would become that intercessor who stands between God and man to say, have mercy, Lord, have mercy. God bless you all.